Good morning, guys. Today is March 22nd, 2026, and it is 7:20 a.m. I just woke up. I had a dream, and I need to go ahead and share this dream. So I saw that I had walked into this church. It was a church that it was full of white people. There was one row that had there was a row that had African Americans, black folks, but I did not notice that until the end. So when I walked in there, these people did not know that I was a social media influencer. I walked in there and there was a guy at the front, and I don't quite remember exactly what he told me. He just told me, basically what he told me, that I was not welcome there, and then he mentioned the name of another church. He mentioned the name of another church for me to go over there. So when he told me that, I looked at him, and at that moment, I took out my phone and I started recording, what he was saying. And I remember recording the whole congregation, and I remember that I told him something, and I remember what was it that I told him, but it's like I was basically putting him in his place because it felt like segregation. I don't even know if I'm saying the right word, but that's the word that I woke up, in my spirit. In other words, racism, going on in the church, like separation. And I remember that I stood up and I spoke, I did it very firm, everybody's attention. It got everybody's attention, because God has given me this big mouth. There's a microphone that God has given me. And I remember that after while as I'm speaking, because I'm speaking and I'm recording, and I'm recording the whole congregation, and I'm coming out, from the front to the back. That's when I realized that there were black people, and they were applauding, and they were hollering, like screaming, shouting, like in celebration, In other words, like approving that I had stood up, for myself. And they had their hands like this. I remember all of them, they had their hands like this. And I was recording, and with one hand, like with this hand, I was recording like this, And I was walking out because I was leaving, and I was going like touching their hands, like when you're running and you're touching their hands, And I walk out of that church, and I woke up, and I said I wasn't going to record it, but I said, no, I told the Lord I'm going to record these dreams, and I'm going to share these dreams. So the Lord just showed me of something, that is going on in the churches right now. A lot of churches right now, guys, they have this going on, a lot of racism going on. The Lord is reminding me right now, there was one church where me and my husband and my daughter, a local church here, where we live at, where me and my daughter, well, not where we live at because we're in a new location, but what I'm saying is that where we used to live, me and my husband, we decided to go to that church because my daughter, she told us that the name of that church, because she has as a teacher, one of her school teachers, was going at that church. I don't know if she still is. So we decided to give it a try. This was when we were trying to find a church, the right church that they say, that you need to go and find the right community church. So I remember that me, my husband, and my daughter, we walked in, and as soon as we walked in, there was a nasty smell in that church, in that building, because I told you guys I'm very sensitive, to the atmosphere around me. So I told my husband, I said, baby, I said, because I told my husband, I said, baby, I said, do you smell something? He looked at me, I'm a weird person, guys. He said, baby, no, I don't smell anything. I said, baby, I said, it's really strong. It was something demonic that I was smelling, and I didn't realize it, until later on. Because, you tend to think that it's body odor or whatever, or the building is old or whatever, But if my husband wasn't smelling it and my daughter wasn't smelling it, it was definitely demonic, It was something over that church. So anyway, we go, and it's all white folks. and we sit at the back, okay? Nobody got up and welcomed us. So we just sat at the back because the service had just started. So we quietly went and sat at the back. And we stayed there during the whole service. And then right when the service is ending, everybody's coming out. But when everybody's coming out, guys, I am not kidding you, nobody went to greet us. It was all white people. Nobody went to greet us. So my husband, he just looked around, and my daughter. So, it's like all of them, they were talking with each other. Nobody, I'm not kidding you, nobody came, to greet us. We were the only Latinos. So me, my husband, and my daughter, we got out. And my husband says, this is what we get for trying at church. So we got in our cars, and that was it, guys. After that, we did went and try another church, but this is the church that the Lord is highlighting right now, that goes with this dream. So we felt out of place. We felt very not welcome, if I'm sincere with you guys. But guys, this should not be going on in the churches right now.